The honourable member for Livingston-McLeod.
Mr. Speaker, back in the news today are the issues surrounding the lack of coordinated emergency response and the reduced communication between AHS Dispatch and the Foothills Regional 911 Commission. Since AHS took over EMS dispatch, and especially since February, people are dying and lives are at risk because the current broken system of separating fire and EMS dispatch is causing life-threatening delays and risk to first responders. Instead of just monitoring this situation, why won't the minister and AHS do the right thing and allow Foothills 911 to become a satellite EMS dispatch centre, as has been done in 4 other major centres in Alberta?
Thank you, honourable member. Minister of Health.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I am glad that I've had an opportunity to discuss this issue with the member opposite, as well as the member from Banff-Cochrane, as well as with the leadership from FRESC themselves. And, Mr. Speaker, what the member opposite fails to highlight is that this has been the case for over 6 years, Mr. Speaker. He himself says he's been working to try to stop this for many years, Mr. Speaker, and it is totally different from the issue that he's highlighted. This has been something that's been happening for some time, where folks in Calgary are doing dispatch, Mr. Speaker, and we are working to make sure that any of the questions and concerns are being ironed out. But while they spend all this time in the back rooms of the federal building, why don't they talk about policy, Mr. Speaker? Because it was there.
Minister, thank you. For supplemental.
Mr. Speaker, given that AHS is falsely suggesting this is a change issue and the problem is with 911 call handling, and given that this is a lack of communications issue between EMS and fire, which has been intensifying since AHS began dispatch earlier this year, and given that this can easily be solved by Foothills, who have the facility and the capability to solve this problem, where single point 911 call answer with fire and EMS would be dispatched together. Again, why does the minister and AHS continue to refuse to consider returning the authority to Foothills?
Good question. The honourable minister.
Again, Mr. Speaker, this has been something that has been ongoing. There's been a great deal of change in the last 7 or 8 years. We have ensured to make increased opportunities for stability, Mr. Speaker, and I hope that the member will lean over to the left, or next time he's in the back rooms with members of the PC caucus, ask them why this policy change happened 7 years ago. Because, Mr. Speaker, I believe that they have very insightful intelligence, including people who have been paramedics themselves, to be able to offer the members, while they're having these conversations about where to have their seats, maybe they can talk about policy.
Who's in charge? Here comes a note from the
The second supplemental.
Mr. Speaker, this is serious. Given that recent poorly coordinated EMS calls and delays and errors have led to deaths, a baby not getting an emergency response for 64 minutes, a person having an asthma attack waiting 34 minutes, and a person suffering a heart attack for 40 minutes, and given only 4% of emergency calls are being sent to Foothills 911 within the industry standard response times, Minister, you can make an immediate decision and save lives. Again, will you do the right thing and allow Foothills 911 to become a satellite EMS dispatch center?
Yes. The honourable minister.
The points the member raises are valid. Anytime anyone calls 911, they want to know that help is on the way, Mr. Speaker. And that's one of the reasons why those specific concerns that have been highlighted have been reviewed, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that the very best opportunities for effective dispatch are in place, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, we're going to continue working to make life better for Albertans in all parts of the province, including the members that was just referred to. But again, if you want to talk about policy, this has been policy in place for over 5 years, Mr. Speaker. And please, feel free to talk to the people whose positions you're going to have to be defending before you keep criticizing, Mr. Speaker.